Welcome into our coverage of the 2015 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, now to the fourth round. Round 16, and both teams fighting for that quarterfinal home match. That will be the reward if they win tonight, awaiting the winners of the Orlando City-Columbus match. It's 2-0 Orlando over Columbus right now. Next to Kevin Egan, I'm Dan Kelly. It's always a pleasure and honor to have you with us. And this is always fun to watch a cup chase.
It absolutely is, Dan Kelly. A beautiful night here at Toyota Park, Bridgeview, Illinois. Two teams really looking to make a run. You have Charlotte Independence, who have already gone on a little bit of a streak, being the only USL team remaining in the tournament as of right now. They had a 4-2 win over Upward Stars, 1-0 win at Carolina Railhawks, and then a 1-0 win away against New England Revolution. So they've been performing very well. Coach Mike Jeffries is someone that everyone in Chicago Fire circles would know from his days here, both as an assistant coach under Bob Bradley and as director of player personnel from 2010 to 12 as well. So he knows Toyota Park very well. His team will come here confident. They're in good form right now with Chicago Fire playing at home. They're the Major League Soccer team. They'll look to put them to bed nice and early.
Carly Lloyd has put the Germans to bed, hopefully, so no need to watch the U.S. women's national team. They'll already have taken care of business. Now we can focus on the U.S. Open Cup, and there's the coaching staff led by Frank Yallop, and something Frank admitted, that this last matchup in the U.S. Open Cup, a home game against Louisville, is they kind of sleptwalk at times. In this match, he wants to come out front foot and take this game and hopefully get a goal early, because the longer that Charlotte can hang around in a goalless match, the more confidence they're going to get.
Oh, absolutely. And it's an interesting one seeing Frank Yallop and his coaching staff just allowing the players have a moment, talk to each other before this big one. And now we see the teams entering the pitch.
And again, the field looks incredible, especially compared to this time last year at Toyota Park.
Yeah, I spoke with groundskeeper Joel White a little bit earlier. He's pleased with it. He said it can still get better, but having walked around the pitch a little earlier, it's in sublime condition. You compare that to this time last year when the Fire were in action against Pittsburgh Riverhounds, and the pitch was in an awful way, whereas right now it's in tip-top shape.
Notoriously, the weather has been poor for U.S. Open Cup matches in the land of Lincoln, but perfection this evening, just light breezes, the high 60s. And the test tonight, the Charlotte Independence.
And they're a team with Major League Soccer experience. 13 players from their roster were previously on MLS rosters, some on loan from Colorado Rapids as well.
So we pause for the U.S. national anthem. Frank Cardenas gets us started with the anthem. Now let's meet the combatants. Here's U.S. Open Cup match between Charlotte and the Chicago Fire. Frank Yallop's side has to deal with another game on the road Friday against Houston. Charlotte, they're pretty well rested considering their last match was abandoned at halftime due to weather against Richmond.
Yeah, disappointing for Charlotte that they couldn't finish out that game. Coach Mike Jeffrey said they were playing well, but this is a solid team. At the back, Gilstrap in goal. A big, tall centre-back pairing of Slogic. He's 6'6" alongside Duckett. And then the key man to keep an eye on is Jorge Herrera, playing in that number 10 role, wearing number 10 as well. He scored that belter from distance against New England. And then spearheading the attack is Zahorsky.
And for the Chicago Fire, pretty good lineup that Coach Frank Yallop has trotted out.
Yeah, forced changes again for Frank Yallop. Disappointing that David Akam, Sean Maloney, key players for the Fire, still missing through injury. But in comes Mike McGee, and check out that C next to his name. Captain for tonight, back making his first start since his surgery. He'll partner Kennedy Igboananike up top. Chris Ritter, Matt Watson get the nod in centre midfield. And Jovan Jones, once more, as we've seen a little bit this season, being asked to play on the left-hand side of midfield, and he may play on the right as well. Both him and Harry Shipp will switch it up at times.
Isn't that nice to see? Mike McGee getting the start for the first time this season, wearing the captain's armband.
And what I'm really looking forward to seeing is how close Mike McGee can play to Kennedy Igboananike, how Mike McGee can be that foil for Igboananike, because against DC a few days ago in Major League Soccer, I thought you saw a team that Gulli de Prado dropping far too deep, Kennedy Igboananike a little bit too isolated. When played through on goal, he didn't really have any passing options. Mike McGee is more of your out-and-out striker and a poacher, and I think he could complement Igboananike.
It's Frank Yallop saying that as Mike regains full fitness, if he plays in that little pocket of space underneath Kennedy Igboananike, he doesn't have to run as much either, and that's an added benefit. Hopefully McGee can be the difference maker tonight for this Chicago Fire team that looks to continue to chase this cup. Kennedy Igboananike, perhaps he's due. Matt Watson, nice to have his size, as this Charlotte Independence team can be dangerous off of set pieces, so the insertion of Watson should help that. What are your keys to this match for the Chicago Fire to come away with a win?
Well, for the Chicago Fire, the role of Chris Ritter, playing in that defensive midfielder position, will be very important, because a lot of what Charlotte do in the attacking sense goes through Herrera. He plays in that little pocket underneath Zahorsky, and then defending set plays has been an issue for the Fire of late. Matt Polster now playing alongside Adi Elton at the back, defending those set plays against this really tall Charlotte Independent side will be key.
And Frank Yallop saying that we weren't that bad versus DC. 60% possession, just not dangerous. Well, it's time to be dangerous and dispatch the visitors and keep moving on as Herrera and the Charlotte Independents. It's Bilal Duckett, right back for Mike Jeffrey's side. And it's been talked about a little bit in the media. Mike Jeffries, head coach for the Charlotte Independents, kind of a little special for him to return to his old stomping grounds. He's an assistant coach and part of the technical staff. He knows how important this U.S. Open Cup is to Chicago Fire supporters in this club.
Absolutely, and I caught up with Mike Jeffries a little bit earlier today, and he spoke about the challenges in a first-year club. Remember, this is the first year of Charlotte Independence, and they've done quite well. 4-4-4 record in USL, but unbeaten in their last 4 games in all competitions, starting to hit a little bit of form.
Matt Polster over near McGee's way, just missing the connection. It's Mike McGee has appeared in 2 of the last 3 MLS matches, but now gets the start.
But if you're a Chicago Fire fan, you have to like the front 4, which is Jovan Jones, Harry Shipp on the flanks. Jovan Jones was unlucky against DC United. He was ill. You could clearly see that he wasn't right in the match. Back to full health.
Herrera looking to slot the pass through there to Zahorsky. Ship. Turnover. Lofted over the bar from distance there, and a rare loss of possession there by second-year man Harry Ship. And speaking of size and defending set pieces, it's nice to have the milkman back between the sticks with some big bodies for this Charlotte Independence team.
Yeah, I thought Sean Johnson played very well against DC. Made one miraculous save on Bobby Boswell and could do nothing really about the goal that Connor Doyle scored. It was a deflection and an absolute bullet.
Good idea by Polster, searching for Kennedy Buonanique. You think we could see Matt Polster in the same position come Friday night on the road versus Houston?
I think it all depends on the fitness of Jeff Laurentowicz. Good start from Kennedy Buonanique, very lively.
Patrick Nyako also on the bench. Coach Yallop hoping to use him. There's Jones and Ship behind the ball. Jovan Jones will depart for Gold Cup duty tomorrow, so nice to take advantage of number 3's presence. Ship readies. Plays it square. McGee got a foot to it, but couldn't get through the wall of bodies.
Excellent ball from Harry Ship. It's something you see Harry Ship and Sean Maloney work on now with Mike McGee back in the team. That was lively.
Watson earns the corner off of Del Piccolo. Jones provides the short option for Harry Ship.
And interesting to see, they brought 2 players over instead of what you saw against Orlando.
Ritter gets ahead to it. But there with the block was Del Piccolo. Looking to counter Charlotte. Rumbling down this near side.
Yeah, Alex Martinez, he's very quick, can be very direct on both flanks. Carlos Alvarez as well, good footballer.
Looking to swivel away. There's Alvarez, number 57. That's where Ship had that turnover moments ago, but makes amends on the steal. Some energy, Jovan Jones. His instinct is just to cut to the middle, does. I think Buonanique was trying to lay off for Harry Ship or Matt Watson, but gobbled up by Charlotte. The intervention there from Polster. Zadi Elton there on Herrera, but Charlotte stays behind the ball. Looking to sneak in. Flag stays down, and Charlotte gets the opening strike. Tomasz Zahorski.
A breakdown defensively for the Fire, and Zahorski now becomes the leading goal scorer in this year's US Open Cup. That's his 4th strike of the tournament, and it's very easy. A simple pass to the feet that was intended, I think, for Carlos Alvarez on the far side. Slots it home with ease.
They tried to do that earlier in the game and missed, but there they find their big man who calmly finishes past Sean Johnson. Kennedy Buonanique trying to respond immediately, swerving his way toward the penalty area. But it's snatched away by Carlos Alvarez.
You cannot take Zahorski lightly. This is a guy who has caps for the Polish national team, scored for Poland before. A big unit, but loves to try and sneak in behind as well.
13 caps with Poland for Zahorski. And the challenge now for the Fire is this young team with nothing to lose now has some confidence.
Well, that's okay. It's 6 minutes into the game. If your opposition's going to score, do it right away, and you've still got the rest of the game. The Fire's game plan does not change. The shape won't change. Mentality should not change.
Hear the slight applause. Congratulations to the U.S. women's national team, 2-0 over Germany. Shown on the scoreboard here inside Toyota Park.
Who's questioning Jill Ellis now?
They get very quiet. Ship. His team down 1-0, trying to produce off the corner. Cochran comes in for a little look. Hunter Gilstrap with his first touch of this game. Brought down by Alvarez. Quick movement there to avoid Harry Ship. Zadie Elton provides the shield. So enjoying some possession, but down 1-0. Just jabbed out by Martinez.
Bilal Duckett did very well, showing all his pace to get across. But if you're Mike Jeffries right now, you are absolutely delighted with the start your team has made. Choosing your moments to go forward, very conscious of getting caught out by the fire, but choosing those moments to make darting runs forward.
McGee, well defended by Charlotte, but it will stay with the Chicago Fire here. It's Cochran and McGee. Spread around to Watson. Punched away by Gilstrap. Comes down for Palmer. Takes a deflection. Following it is Hunter Gilstrap, who's had some nervy moments the last couple of weeks, but looks pretty calm here the first few touches between the sticks for Charlotte. John Berner, their first choice keeper, has been hurt. Spreading up there is the goal scorer, Zahorsky, and Polster is in the midst of the clash there in the midfield. And you noticed it, Kevin, watching the warm-ups. Matt Polster, he's just always focused, isn't he?
Yeah, he's tuned in. He's just got to remember where he's playing tonight. Try not to get sucked out of position. He's got to listen to Adi Elton. Adi Elton, I'm sure, will call the line. He's the more experienced central defender.
Patrick Slogic launches it into the area. Picking up the pieces there. Matt Watson pivots away from the traffic. Side foots it over to Jovan Jones. As Watson only had it for a moment. It's Martinez. Ribeiro will find it.
And there's no question that this is a very good Charlotte team. You look what they did to New England.
As Alvarez sends it down the right side, the protection from Greg Cochran. But the visitors earn their first corner of the night.
Yeah, and there's no taking this team lightly. And like I mentioned before, now an opportunity for the likes of Pat Slogic to get forward. Bilal Duckett as well. Obviously, you've got Tomas Zahorsky in the area already. And with Herrera's set plays, they feel these are good chances.
Nice ball set in by Herrera, inviting there. Pushed away by Jones, and he was ripped down by his shirt. Strolling through the midfield, Martinez. Cool little back heel by Zahorsky, but there's Ritter. Gets a little bit of a break with the deflection off of the goal scorer. Adi Elton on to Greg Cochran, dropping back is Harry Ship. Shoots it over the top, nice ball on for Kennedy Igboananike. Need some runners in the area. McGee enters. Gilstrap trying to punch it away, but beaten to it there by Slogic. Will lead to a Chicago Fire corner here in minute number 12. Quickly done. McGee. Cochran. Palmer's got a little room. Clips it into the box. And safely dealt with by Bill Duckett.
And if you're the Fire, you just want to keep the tempo going. Absolutely up it. Get Charlotte on their heels and force the agenda. And as Chicago get the ball, you can see Charlotte trying to go very narrow in midfield. I think the game plan should try and get it to Igbonanike. He seems to be drifting to the left, or get it to Jovan Jones's feet on the right-hand side.
Alvarez has been a handful to deal with down the right side. We'll follow U.S. Soccer's coverage of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup on Twitter at Open Cup. USsoccer.com is your source for full coverage of the 2015 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Down to the round of 16. The breeze blowing a little stiffer here as this first half goes on. It's Frank Yallop saying he wants his team to play narrow and allow those fullbacks, Greg Cochran and Lavelle Palmer, a chance to get forward. Watson keeps it on the grass. Cochran hurriedly onto Igbonanike, unable to save it. And Frank Yallop has gone with a pretty strong starting 11, but you look at a guy like Razvan Kocic, perhaps deserves to be in this starting group, but it's just a busy week with a road matchup coming this Friday. Can't play everyone.
Big time. Absolutely, you have to keep Friday in mind. Frank Yallop hoping that Jeff Laurentowicz will be ready to go on Friday.
Watson with Herrera right over his back. Adi Yelton. But the Charlotte Independents still coming hard. Martinez. Off a Polster. There giving it a lash was Del Piccolo. So good to have you with us. Next to Kevin Egan, I'm Dan Kelly. Our executive producer, Leo Flores, is here's Kennedy Igbonanike. Now trying to slither loose down the right side, watched by Slogic. It's Ritter. Couldn't get to it. And now that game is final. I stand corrected. It was just updated earlier. It is now in the books. U.S. over Germany in the Women's World Cup from Canada.
Incredible result. Congratulations on beating the favorites. Number one ranked team heading into the World Cup. Now the United States will take on that mantle. And many people around world football will presume that the United States will go on and win it. But waiting on the other side is a team called Japan that defeated the United States, remember. Also England as well.
If you're just joining us, Charlotte wearing the white shirts, Chicago Fire in their third kits. The difference has been big number 20, Zahorski, with his fourth goal of the season in minute number 5. Just stumbling. Almost kept possession, Jovan Jones, but instead it's Slogic up with it for Charlotte.
I can't understand that from the referee. It looked to me like Jovan Jones had broken through two players and received a shove in the back.
Alvarez testing Greg Cochran. Drops it down in a dangerous place, but away is Lavelle Palmer. It's Mike McGee motioning Matt Watson to move forward down the left side.
Well, everybody, he's just looking for every single one of his teammates to get out. Bring that line all the way up and get your shape.
McGee has scored 4 goals in U.S. Open Cup matches.
His first ever goal for Chicago was against Charlotte Eagles, predecessor of the Independents. Had a goal and an assist on that occasion. Went on to win MVP.
How did this Charlotte team beat New England and dust off an MLS side?
As you can see, they've got very good shape. I'm not sure what Mike McGee was trying to do there, but they've got very good shape. They know what their roles and responsibilities are. They play 4-2-3-1. They've got somebody like Andrew Ribeiro, who's a tough tackling midfielder, who's ready to sit and defend and help the back four. Del Piccolo will be more of a box-to-box type player, but they have a very intelligent Colombian in Jorge Herrera who pulls the strings.
Ritter trying to pull the strings. Igboananike had Jones over to his right. Knocked away by Charlotte. Greg Cochran just keeps getting more chances. The starting 11 takes the back heel from McGee. Now some energy going forward. Pass behind Igboananike. Giving it a hit there was Jovan Jones, stopped by Gilstrap. That's the best so far from the Fire. Cochran again. Jones gets a foot to it, but not much behind it.
What a move. Incredible combination play. Greg Cochran, Mike McGee, back to Cochran, and the ball comes all the way across for Jovan Jones. And that's not a bad strike. With big Hunter Gilstrap equal to it in goal for the Independents. That's a class save.
Cox and Charlotte. Martinez there on Ritter. Good quick decision making by Ribeiro. And Sean Johnson will just watch that breeze by as it stays in play for Lavelle Palmer.
But Dan, you mentioned about Frank Yallop talking about trying to get the fullbacks forward.
Now it's McGee trying to get forward.
You could see that in that last build-up. Greg Cochran did so well.
Well done, Chris Ritter, to win it back. It's Jovan Jones. And now the ruling going the Fire's way.
It was a poor pass, though, from Jovan Jones. Looked to offload the ball, and at a time when I felt he needed to just keep it. Just keep it until the right pass is on. That wasn't the right option. And the Fire maybe can consider themselves a little bit fortunate.
Ship drops down out of Yelton. Couldn't direct it on frame. Chances starting to develop. So much history in Open Cup play for the Fire. They've reached the semifinals 11 times, the final 6 times. They've won it for 35 wins, the most in the modern era of U.S. Open Cup history. Trying to keep history rolling. Here's Harry Shipp. Visions there of Mike McGee as it's brushed away by Charlotte.
Much better build-up. Great first touch from Igboananike. Chris Ritter did well as well in the centre midfield to take it down on his chest. And that's better. Harry Shipp has now moved over to the right-hand side of midfield. Jovan Jones over to the left.
Igboananike trying to shirk loose. McGee the chip. Oh, little tricky there for Hunter Gilstrap to deal with, but he does it.
Mike McGee looking for that magic touch. Back again here at Toyota Park. A classy effort. Good save.
Chip will bring in the corner. Over the head of Ritter and punched safely away by Slogic, as we'll do it this time near corner. Slogic, number 4 back there for Charlotte. He's a big man and he has been noticeable here in the first 23 minutes.
Yeah, and he's very good in the air, obviously, as we can see so far in this match. So if I'm Addy Elton, I'm nearly taking him away. Just draw him out of the game. Drag him further out and then let Harry Shipp or Jovan Jones aim elsewhere.
Trying to keep peace. Igboananike and Mike McGee. The middle of things for the Fire. Jovan Jones off the corner. Looking for some scraps. Igboananike pops free to Greg Cochran. Alvarez there on Cochran. This time it's Chris Ritter. Watson sends it to the area. Well protected has been Kennedy Igboananike by Charlotte, though, so far. Should leave some room open for McGee. Jones keeps it on the deck, pops down. Igboananike. But a lot of white shirts swarming the ball, and they emerge with it, Charlotte. Good recovery and response from Igboananike.
Well done, Kennedy Igboananike. Excellent attitude to fight and win the ball back. And it's been better from the Chicago Fire over the past 10 minutes.
Charlotte. Martinez. Cox greeted there by Lavelle Palmer, and the home supporters in Section 8 love the feisty play from the Jamaican.
Just got to be so careful of Thomas Zahorski. He's just flirting with that line. Playing off the last shoulder, trying to be that guy to get in behind once more.
Martinez sends a dangerous ball across. Cochran helps it away. There's Martinez. Alvarez also searching for it. Del Piccolo. Will have a child 14 years old or younger, enroll them in the Junior Supporters Club. Choose to sign up for free membership or premium membership for just $30 per child. The premium membership includes a Fire t-shirt, scarf, and backpack. For more information, a list of member benefits, visit chicago-fire.com. Cox releases some pressure. Alvarez searching for it down the far side. Cochran and Ritter keep it with him. Jones steps in front of McGee to take it. Not a lot of touches on the ball for Matt Polster through the first 26 minutes.
That's okay. He's playing at center back, so Chicago Fire now with all the possession starting to control the game, but they need to pierce that back four more often.
Palmer is available, but Ritter elects to go to Polster. Now it's on for Lavelle Palmer. Palmer, the quick cross, comes skipping in and dangerously stabbed out of play by Slogic.
And that's the second or third time in this game that there's been a little bit of confusion between Gilstrap and Slogic. Slogic just comes in, gets the touch, immediately puts the hand up in recognition of the goalkeeper shouting for it. He's very lucky that that didn't nestle into the back of the net.
Again, it's Jovan Jones. Never really a threat, but he'll get another chance. Trying to go out in style, Jovan Jones, before he departs for Gold Cup duty. This is better. Rising up was Ritter, and the second ball clanged over the bar. Adi Elton had the chance.
And was this Mike McGee? Let's take a look at this one more time. No, it's Chris Ritter, you're right. And maybe it took a slight deflection, but that looked like a free header for Chris Ritter inside the area. And then Adi Elton with as good a chance. Leaning back, he just needs to put that ball as low as possible. What an opportunity for the Fire.
Herrera sends it out wide. Zahorski, the target, into the area, but Adi Elton prevents that from coming through. A corner, though, for Charlotte.
That was good football. Charlotte did very well in the centre midfield. Jovan Jones got dragged in from the wing, and as soon as they could get it wide, they did, and they had that numerical advantage as Jones had been brought inside.
Jorge Herrera will bring it in for the Independents. Inviting ball there for the big man, pops it wide. It was Slogic rising up. The same man we previously spoke about having some communication issues with his goalkeeper, but Charlotte Independents maintaining this 1-0 lead. Look at Jovan Jones skating through the midfield. Harry Shipp has some time. Reaching back for to Bonanike, cool idea to Palmer. Flag coming up.
Lavelle Palmer has to stay on side. You can see the line. Excellent vision to get the ball out to Palmer. Maybe we'll get a chance to see that again and see if he did stay on side and if it was a poor decision. But what I like about that is as soon as Palmer received the ball, Mike McGee showing his predatory instincts in the area, waiting for the ball to come across.
These two sides, Charlotte and Chicago, fighting for the right to move on and play the winner of Orlando and Columbus. Is Orlando City maintaining that 2-0 lead. Getting to the late stages of the second half in that one.
Great ball from Lavelle Palmer. I'd like to see that a little bit more often.
As it's Jones on the left side now.
You expect more from Jovan Jones there, but the pass from Palmer was perfect.
Would I be wrong to say that the Fire have looked better through the first 31 minutes than they did versus Louisville City?
No, I don't think you're wrong. One defensive lapse in concentration. I think the shape was off completely and it was so easy for Zahorski to get through and score. Since then it's been the home team that have dominated, created some good opportunities. Eddie Elton, Chris Ritter with maybe the best chances. Got to keep the urgency up, continue to fight, carve out those chances.
Looking there for Martinez. Well, Fire fans, show your pride by donning the latest Chicago Fire apparel. For a wide selection of t-shirts, scarves, hats, jerseys, and much more, visit shopchicagofire.com or the Fire Fan Shop located at Toyota Park. Harry Ship and Mike McGee. It's the energetic left fullback Greg Cochran. Advantage played for the Fire. A little behind Mike McGee, and it's helped back by Martinez to his keeper, Hunter Gilstrap.
How confident was that in terms of a defensive header from Alex Martinez?
Here's Matt Watson. Chasing is Iguananike. And it looked like he had perhaps earned the corner, but no, says the official. Mark Burcham, Clint Mathis, Frank Yallop. Up and trying to encourage his team. Here just past the half-hour mark. Toyota Park, Bridgeview, Illinois. U.S. Open Cup play. Kennedy Iguananike.
Iguananike very rarely gives the ball away. It's something that I've noticed in his matches when he's played. His ability to hold on to the ball is good, and oftentimes it doesn't look very comfortable, but he always finds a Chicago Fire jersey.
A blurred connection there between Matt Watson and Lavelle Palmer. It's a pretty well-rested Charlotte Independence team. Mike Jeffries was saying a little disappointed that their match was abandoned due to weather versus Richmond because they were doing some good things. They struggled their first year, this team. Had some growing pains, but just 2 losses in their last 9, and they're showing some quality form this evening. Here's Jones saying enough of that, ready to go. Leads the brigade, Ship making a run. Jones makes the turn. Watson. Cochran gives it a hit, but rather Mike McGee, but doesn't get it through.
But that's what you want to see from Jovan Jones. Picking the ball up, deciding, right, I'm going to take this guy on. I have the beating of him.
Little dummy by McGee doesn't work out. It's Bilal Duckett for the Charlotte Independents behind the ball.
It's really good to see Mike McGee back starting for the Fire. Patrick Nyako, I'm sure, will come into the game in the second half. But if you're Frank Yallop, you just want to see the players starting to come back to full fitness. David Akam, Sean Maloney, huge, huge players to miss out on in a big stretch, whether it's international duty or injuries now. It really is unfortunate for Frank Yallop. Just 6 games this season, he's had a chance to pick a fully available squad.
And that's not going to change dramatically on the road. Their next match Friday against Houston. Maybe David Akam for that home match July 11th against Seattle. Meandering his way. Alvarez for Charlotte. Was thinking Herrera, but it's Jovan Jones cleaning things up. It's been an active opening half by Ribeiro.
Yeah, he's a warrior. Puts himself about in midfield, and he does a great job for Mike Jeffries in that role.
Herrera and Charlotte keeping possession. Holster safely on for Lavelle Palmer.
And here's where you need movement. Here's where you need Igboananike.
It's Palmer. McGee. Oh, it's good to have Magic Mike back. We are level. Up to his old tricks, Mike McGee.
Captain fantastic on the night. How about that for a touch? Welcome back, Mike McGee. Chicago Fire fans used to seeing that back in 2013. Now Mike McGee edging toward full fitness. And there's the poacher instincts that this team has missed. Palmer with a deft little touch inside to Mike McGee, and talk about a deft little touch again. Dinks it over the goalkeeper, all square in the 38th minute.
It's been the Fire's problem this year, just not enough dangerous. But creating danger there, Mike McGee. And now we'll see if we see a more relaxed Chicago Fire team, not trailing their home park.
I'm smiling, Dan, because that is a class finish, and it's something that Mike McGee has done all throughout his career, popping up in the right places at the right time.
Slogic. There's Ribeiro. Dangerous ball comes in. Sean Johnson this time stops Zahorski.
What a response from Charlotte. And that is an outstanding save from Sean Johnson. To make himself big, it's a great ball, and Polster gets caught out by Zahorski. And Sean Johnson does so well with the left leg, using every inch of that big frame.
Now dealing with the corner. Punches it away, but dangerous spot. Palmer able to block Carlos Alvarez's drive, his ship. Tries to spring at Igboananike, but instead it's the Charlotte Independence. Here, the minute number 40. If you're just joining us, Zahorski opened up the scoring for the visitors in the 5th minute, but Mike McGee has been the savior here in the opening half, the equalizer in the 37th. Trying to slash his way towards the midfield was Jovan Jones, denied access. Igboananike hunting for it. Well done, Greg Cochran. Jinx.
Teamwork.
Such a busy sports night. So glad you could join the Chicago Fire and the Charlotte Independence. This is Lavelle Palmer. Spins it into the area. Met first by Slogic. McGee and Ship. Little separation. Ship moves away. Supported by Matt Watson. Palmer gives a go on the cross, curls it towards the keeper, and he was ready as Gilstrap claims it.
I must admit, I like what I've seen from Mike McGee so far.
What have you liked?
I like the way he's so active, his leadership skills. He's constantly talking to the players around him. He's wearing the captain's armband, but he does it anyway, even if he's not wearing that band.
Hadi Elton keeps it away from Zahorski.
Great tackle from Chris Ritter.
He's had some bite to his game tonight, the homegrown kid. Chris Ritter.
He always does. I mean, the criticism of Chris Ritter is that he might pick up an early yellow card, which he has done a lot this season. But his tackles and his timing tonight have been perfect.
Watson. Create some room. This is Ship. Left foot's it out of range. Harry knows it.
The thing about Mike McGee, what I was saying, is there's always a chance he's going to do something special. Like what you saw with that goal, just finding himself in the right place. And this is something I'd said before about players recognizing Mike McGee's potential and knowing the way he thinks. It was something we touched on in Firefield Vision recently, talking about a pass that maybe Quincy Amarikwa could have played to Mike McGee in the Orlando match. And it was a run that McGee had made off the shoulder of Aurelian Collin. He's such a smart footballer. And when he's on that pitch, players around him need to start thinking like him.
Alvarez helps get possession back for Charlotte. Wearing white tonight, the dangerous man, Zahorsky. They've been feeding him a lot. It's Polster over his shoulder. And Matt Polster. Doesn't look like a rookie there, but then a rookie mistake on the turnover. Gives a little life here going forward for Charlotte. Martinez testing Cochran. Recaptured by Matt Watson. Holding up the ball is Buonanike as he's mowed down. On comes Matt Watson. Watson, McGee to his right, Jones to his left. Closed down by Ribeiro on the follow through. Buonanike.
McGee recognized he was in an offside position. So smart. Most players would have gone after that ball. Mike McGee just let it run through.
Held his arms up, made sure everybody knew that he wasn't going after it.
Yep.
So it leads to a Harry Ship corner. Polster gets a little closer to the keeper. Duckett got to head to it, so we'll do it once again.
As we edge closer to halftime, I think Frank Yallop will be very pleased with the first half performance, bar that one error. And Zahorsky also had that other good opportunity directly after the Fire scored. We always say it in Fire broadcasts, and limiting those costly errors, lapses in concentration, and then being a little bit more ruthless.
Jones, McGee was sticking out his foot. Polster, Adi Elton. Blocked by Slogic. Ship trying to sprout up. Instead it's saved by Martinez. So minimum of 1 minute of added time to this first half. A lot of room down that left side. Cochran will leave for McGee. It's Ritter into Buonanike. This time he keeps it. Shoots it out wide to Cochran. Looking for McGee again in a dangerous area. Looking for one more chance before they hear the whistle.
And Zahorsky's down and Chicago playing away.
Lavelle Palmer plays it square. And the whistle sounds. It was a rough start to this half for the Chicago Fire. A little surprised by Zahorsky's fourth goal of the season in the 5th minute, but life is much better when you have Magic Mike gets the equalizer in the 37th minute. That's where we stand, 0-0 after 45 minutes.
And Martinez not happy at all with the officials. Zahorsky was down injured, but Chicago Fire not obligated to put the ball out of play. It was an injury to what looks like his calf. You know, in situations like that, you often see it in world football. Players trying to just wind down those seconds toward halftime, stop the momentum, make sure that the opposition don't score before halftime. But then there's obviously the other case where Zahorsky could have been seriously injured. With the Fire not obligated, Martinez not happy, but it's all square at halftime.
The manager talk, Frank Yallop. What do you think his message is to his team right now?
Continue to drive. Just drive on a little bit harder. Keep it tight at the back. Chris Ritter, stay exactly where you are. Continue to do what you're doing and helping out the back four. But the goals are there. There's no doubt about it. I would think that as the half wore on, you saw Jovan Jones, you saw Kennedy Bonanike. When they got the ball, they decided to turn and take on the man, taking on a little bit more responsibility. And I think Frank Yallop will like that. He'd like to see a bit more of it in the second half. And maybe, just maybe, you might see the introduction of Patrick Nyako, who hasn't played since tearing his ACL against DC United last season.
It would be good. They saw their old fan favorite, Mike McGee, find goal for the first time this season. Maybe we're going to see Patrick Nyako on the field for the first time since October of last year.
Yeah, and if Mike Jeffries is forced into making a substitution, if Zahorsky can't go, and if he is injured, that's a big-time blow for Charlotte. He's been instrumental. He's led the line so well by himself. He can get in behind, but obviously he can play with the ball at his feet as well. I've been impressed by the big Polish striker. I thought he's done very well. It'll be key to see now if he can stay in it.
Oh, it's not the first time I've had a producer get in my ear and say, wrap it up, Mr. Egan, wrap it up. Thanks so much for joining us. 1/2 down. We'll be back in just a little bit to update you of the happenings for the first 45, look at some highlights, and look ahead to that second half of play here. U.S. Open Cup between the Fire and Charlotte Independence.
Stoichkov, and it rolls in. How's it going? We're at Brown Elementary School right now in the West Loop, hanging out with some elementary school kids, doing a little cooking class. Gotta admit, some of the students here are probably better cooks than I am, so their skills in the kitchen are impressive, so they've been teaching me some things as well. We're making some Ethiopian food today, so you know, not something I have a whole lot of experience with, but the kids have been, you know, probably better than I could ever be at this age. So it's, you know, the students have been, you know, really enthusiastic about it.
and eager to learn about the different, culture of Ethiopia, the different components of the dish. And you're not really forcing them to do stuff. They're all volunteering to cut things and help out. So it's been really easy to work with them.
They're not always in a playing field that is necessarily fair to them, because it's not adaptive or modified in a way that they can compete at the same level. None of the athletes are here by chance, and all of them got selected by a lot of their effort, but also a lot of people who've invested in them, and in the partners too, that there's something special for all of them.
Okay, just keep moving. We've got 20 seconds left. 20 seconds. Let's go. Where are we going to go with this?
When they received the news, the partner, Gerardo, came up to me in the hallway, found me in the hallway, and you could just see the joy in his face from making this team. Teary-eyed, and just words can't even express the excitement he had.
Everybody's really, really excited. I know there's a lot of nervousness.
It's a new experience that these kids are getting. They're traveling to Portland, Oregon. It's amazing.
Keep back up and keep going. You're going to go again. Well done.
That success is coming out with all of them having a very special experience that they're going to remember for the rest of their life.
1, 2, 3, fire!
Beautiful night for little Chicago Fire Soccer, and the results were much better after Magic Mike factored into this match. A late goal. We stand level with the Charlotte Independents. Kevin Egan, I'm Dan Kelly. And Kevin, looking ahead to this second half, we talked about the Fire's perspective. What is Mike Jeffries telling his team right now? Because it wasn't all bad.
They can't concede straight after the start of the second half, that's for sure, because they need to keep it tight, stay in the game, and they'll feel they will get opportunities. It's such a nice night here. I'm not too sure why they're watering the field, if I'm honest, because the pitch is in good shape. I'm going to check out the highlights now from the first half. It was Charlotte Independence that struck first. Big Tomas Zahorsky. Early on here, Addy Elton, just a little shove in the back, nothing to it, and then a breakdown defensively. This is so soft. Zahorsky slots it home for his 4th goal in the US Open Cup this season. He's been big time for Mike Jeffries' team. It's a lovely little finish. But from then on, the Fire started to get a hold of the game. Started to get into the game gradually. You see a couple of half chances, nothing major, until a little bit later in the half.
The Xfinity X1 Rewind is brought to you by the X1 DVR.
And in many ways, Dan, I think what you saw in the first half was a microcosm of the Fire season so far. The opposition get 2 chances. They put one away, and then realistically it was an unbelievable save from Sean Johnson on Zahorsky to keep it level at 1-1. And then Mike McGee, look at this one, came so close. Audacious attempt from McGee. And then a few times at the back, Slogic and Gilstrap just a little bit unsure. This for me was a big chance. Chris Ritter with the header. You wonder, did something get in the way of Chris Ritter? Did it take a slight touch off the defender first? And then Addy Elton missed. But we're getting toward the moment. Here it is, Mike McGee. Welcome back into the starting 11. Lovely little run across the edge of the 6 and just dinks it over the goalkeeper. It's good to see him back.
And not just the goal, because that's rather important, and we saw the response there, and Sean Johnson made a tidy save. But how good does it feel? You talked about this being a microcosm of the season. Pretty good stuff, but not threatening, and not the ability to finish in the final third. It's got to be calming to see, well, that's a big part we've been missing, and that see Mike McGee, who's done that in his career here with the Fire.
Yeah, that exact run as well. Knowing when to make that darting run and making sure that the players around you are on the same wavelength. And I think that's exactly what you saw. Good ball from Lavelle Palmer, nicely paced, didn't have to burst it in for Mike to have to control it first. He could hit it first time. Gilstrap came out, but McGee got there first. And the Fire now will really want to drive on, get that second goal as early as possible and see this game out.
For the Fire, who else are you keeping your eye on? Who do you expect to play a big role in this second half if they're going to secure a victory at home against Charlotte?
Yeah, I think Harry Shipp has been very quiet in this game so far. Back forward, just keeping it tight. Lavelle Palmer, Greg Cochran get forward when they can, and also see support then from Ritter and Watson helping them out defensively. But trying to get Harry Shipp in the right spots is so important because he's so good. You know the qualities that Harry Shipp has. And then Kennedy Bonanike and Jovan Jones, for me, started to get really into the game as it wore on.
Lavelle Palmer, for a while he had trouble getting into the first choice 11. He's been there now for the last couple of weeks. I thought I saw some good stuff from the Jamaican there in the opening half.
Yep, I agree with you. Going forward, instrumental obviously in the goal, but apart from that, he's been quite good, helping Matt Polster out defensively. That's his position with the Chicago Fire that is absolutely up for grabs. Eric Gehrig, Lavelle Palmer fighting all year.
Alvarez, number 57, was noticeable in the opening half for Mike Jeffries' team as the players just taking the field here. Round of 16, Charlotte Independence, one of 2 non-MLS teams remaining.
And the one player that's not out yet is Tomas Zahorsky. So I wonder, did he pick up an injury at the very end of the first half.
And
And like I said, that'd be a big blow.
it's a big blow to the yellow team from Columbus. Orlando knocks them out of the U.S. Open Cup, so Orlando City awaits the winner of this game between Charlotte and Chicago.
And Chicago will want to play Orlando. They'll want to get revenge from the Major League Soccer match here that the Fire let slip.
That was a pretty stacked lineup that Coach Heath went with Orlando. Kaká factored into the scoring.
Yeah, and it looks like Mike Jeffries is forced to make a substitution. Tomas Zahorski.
And don't you miss seeing those crazed eyes of Mike McGee trying to lead his team? He does have that crazed look, but it's just intense and locked in. Aaron Hyde, the goalkeeping coach, also part of that scrum. A few final words.
And Harry Shipp's about to see an old buddy of his come into the game. Ryan Finley, former Notre Dame star, has been a big-time player off the bench recently. He's quick. I think he's a very good footballer. I'm actually surprised that he is playing outside of Major League Soccer.
We saw Luke Mushu a couple of weeks ago. It seems like every other match we're talking about a player that played with Harry Shipp for that Notre Dame national championship team. Is Mike McGee wearing the captain's armband this evening there, flanked by Matt Watson. So Zahorski out, Finley in for Charlotte Independence. Off we go. The journey known as the U.S. Open Cup continues. Second half. It's Lavelle Palmer. Pops it high towards the 18. Waiting for it to come down was Igboananike. It's Alvarez. This is Herrera. It's Ryan Finley, number 9, awaits his first touch. He's a big lad. Greg Cochran trying to do his best, but it's Alvarez and Charlotte with their third corner of this game. Set piece defending crucial against this Charlotte team who does have the size advantage. Herrera will bring it in. Right back to the source. A little closer, and Sean Johnson calmly reaching up. Some room to rumble down that far side for Lavelle Palmer. Over McGee's way. Mike McGee couldn't recover and save that ball.
Unlucky from Mike McGee. The right idea, though. The diagonal run. Lavelle Palmer spotted it. Sometimes this season, we've seen the Fire come out after half-time and been a little bit flat. You want them to show that urgency they had in the second half of the first half.
Igboananike lays it off for McGee, only momentarily, but recaptured by Igboananike and Shipp. Dancing to the midfield. Chris Ritter shoots it over Lavelle Palmer's direction. Palmer foraging forward. Just a little heavy first touch, and it opened the door for Cox to knock it away.
Yeah, and the referee gives a free kick to Raphael Cox.
Zahorsky, the goal scorer for Charlotte, has been subbed out due to injury. Mike McGee scores his first one of the season in his first start.
You know, Dan, sometimes cup competitions, it can be a welcome break from the league, and I think that the US Open Cup, you get a win tonight, the Chicago Fire move on into Major League Soccer action with a win behind them. You hope to try and see your players come back to full fitness. Patrick Nyako, we might see in this second half. Mike McGee scoring a goal. Sean Maloney, David Akam getting closer to full fitness. And I think as soon as Frank Yallop gets that full complement, you will see results instantly.
Igboananike looking to slither loose. And just his presence helps earn a corner.
Yeah, he did very well. Not sure why he hesitated for a moment. Slowed him up a little bit.
Ball was a little too forward for the match officials' liking. Harry now ready to go. Snaps it in. Buonanike knocked it down. LaBelle Palmer gives it a hit from distance, and the Jamaican drives it in. The Fire have their first lead of the night.
Oh, LaBelle Palmer, how about that? Flirted with an effort in the first half and just absolutely lets rip from distance. Jamaican the crowd stand on their feet, LaBelle. What a strike. We talked about how important it was to come out and start well in the second half, get that goal, and now it's important to drive on.
And don't let Charlotte get loose. A little ahead of the play there was Ryan Finley.
What a night for LaBelle Palmer so far. We talked about how he's been solid helping out Matt Polster defensively. But he has the assist now for the Mike McGee goal and also a spectacular strike from distance.
Feel good for a guy like LaBelle Palmer, cares so much, not being in the starting 11, watching his team in the midst of a slide. It's been painful, but that has to alleviate some of the pain. Scoring a giant goal in US Open Cup play to give them their first lead of the evening.
Yeah, and the Fire play his old team on Friday, Houston Dynamo. LaBelle Palmer will be itching to be in the starting 11 for that game. Except when he played for Houston, he had a shaved head. No dreadlocks back then.
It's the heat. Jovan Jones gets a second crack. Cool little pass over to Cochran. Greg Cochran going end line. His Gilstrap reaches up and grabs it. Harry Shipp was closest.
You know, when thinking about Patrick Nyako and coming back from such a serious injury, he'd like to come into a game if the team is winning, because you'll have Charlotte Independence going after the equalizer. The game will become very stretched, and I think it'll play into the hands of someone like Patrick Nyako.
Alvarez in pursuit is Adi Elton. Finley, the big man, goes into the penalty area wanting it. Tangled up at the feet there of Ribeiro. Cox swings it out wide. There's Alvarez, watched by Watson. Headed out by Matt Polster. Kennedy Igboananike trying to take off away from the coverage. Igboananike shifting. Duck it on him. And does an admirable job to keep up with the Nigerian.
Oh, the fans love that. They were on their feet. Good one-on-one battle between the big defender Bilal Duckett and Kennedy Igboananike.
Has this been the scrappiest game we've seen from Igboananike?
I mean, it's up there. I thought he was scrappy in the last game as well. He certainly put himself about an awful lot more than he did earlier in the season.
We'll stay with the fire. McGee quickly for Ship. Switching over to Lavelle Palmer, the most recent goal scorer in this game, who's given the Fire the lead. Moving into the 54th minute. Down goes Igboananike. Sprouting up is Matt Polster. But turned away from Harry Ship. As Duckett utilizes the keeper. Turnover there to Chris Ritter. Drops for Ship. Jones making the run down the right side. Chauvin Jones just couldn't get it on frame, but it will be a corner opportunity.
Good pressure from Harry Ship, forces the mistake from Gilstrap in goal for Charlotte. And in that instance, Ritter had options.
Snapped in by Jones. Adi Elton was there. Second ball away by Duckett. Greg Cochran looking pretty relaxed in his role. This is Matt Watson. Chauvin Jones. Harry Ship making the overlap as Palmer. Ship can't do it. Gets it back. It's Lavelle Palmer. Back to the cul-de-sac, trying to lose the defender, Cox. Cox still on him. Igboananike knocks it down, and Gilstrap had to save it as it was directed back towards him.
Lavelle Palmer is full of confidence right now. Every chance he gets to tear forward. On the right-hand side, he's doing it. And he's doing it a lot more than he has this season, I think.
Well, don't forget to follow U.S. Soccer's coverage of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup on Twitter @OpenCup. USSoccer.com is your source for full coverage of the 2015 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Chauvin Jones looked like he was going to give it a hit with the left, and now it's jabbed away by Slogic. Corner upcoming. Ship, McGee up for it, off of Watson. Igboananike pushes it back to Matt Watson.
But I like this, Dan. I like the Fire really forcing the agenda right now. It's the team that's losing that's pinned back.
Ship. Couldn't get the cross through. And it's Herrera. And starting to boss this game now with the lead in the 58th minute. Chauvin Jones. Teetering on the near touchline. Greg Cochran. Under duress, so goes back to Johnson. These two teams playing for the right to advance in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup and play Orlando, who knocked off Columbus 2-0 earlier tonight.
What I like to see from Orlando tonight, they didn't rest the stars. They didn't say, well, oh, well, we're doing well in Major League Soccer, we'll leave Kaká off. No. The Brazilian was in the starting team in the US Open Cup, and I think that's the respect that I think a lot of teams are starting to show this competition. Certainly the Chicago Fire, a club that's always shown the US Open Cup the greatest respect, putting out the strongest team they feel they have.
And of course, the idea from Frankie Allop and the staff was to come out early on the front foot and push and try to get that early goal, but they didn't. They pushed, but they suffered the early goal. But didn't panic, stuck with the plan, and here they are leading 2-1 as we approach the hour mark in Bridgeview, Illinois. The man who's given this lead, Lavelle Palmer. Darting after it, Jovan Jones just keeps it in play. Pushes over to Cochran. Watson is available. Instead, over to McGee's way, trying to dummy it for Igboananike. Solved by Charlotte as they look to counter. Del Piccolo. Out to meet him is Ati Elton. There's Herrera. He had the big goal in that victory that allowed Charlotte to knock out the New England Revolution in the last round.
The Fire a little bit fortunate there because Greg Cochran was caught out. Paolo Del Piccolo with an opportunity to pick out a better pass. It didn't happen. It was a good break for Charlotte. And those are the type of opportunities they're looking for now. Keep it tight, stay within one goal.
Fans granted their wish there as Duckett called for the foul on Igboananike.
Yeah, that's great stuff from Kennedy Igboananike.
Jovan Jones. Playing with the confidence of just scoring a goal. Lavelle Palmer. Watson, 1v2 on the outside. Sheds a defender. Igboananike. Couldn't direct it on goal.
The right idea. Excellent work from both Lavelle Palmer and Matt Watson. You just look for Watson to maybe keep that cross on the deck and give Igboananike a chance to strike it first time.
It's cool to see the confidence growing in Lavelle Palmer's game after that goal. Now defending into a dangerous area. Sean Johnson. Gigantic stop on the Notre Dame man, Ryan Findlay.
Huge save. And that seemed to happen in slow motion again. A lack of concentration at the back from the Fire. And that's too easy.
It's good to have the big milkman between the sticks. Jovan Jones, left foot from far away. Never really a threat.
That's outstanding awareness to let the ball run through. Brilliant work from Carlos Alvarez. And Finlay with the strike. He just hit it at a good level for a goalkeeper, a good height. But Sean Johnson again with the type of save that we became accustomed to seeing him make time after time. And certainly in the last game against DC, he had that world-class save against Bobby Boswell. And today he's had two. Like I said the last day, there's moments in games when you look for your goalkeeper to make that save that he's not supposed to make.
Who's that down for the Fire?
Chris Ritter. Big hit.
Tough kid.
Yeah, he's been a warrior tonight. He just needs to hold that position, protect. The Fire winning 2-1. He needs to help out the defense.
Jones is exploring going forward here frequently in the second half. Skitters into the keeper Gilstrap. Rolls it on to Alvarez.
And tactically, you know, that's smart from Charlotte. Drawing Jovan Jones inside. Greg Cochran also got drawn in, and the fullback was ready on the overlap. The Fire need to be very careful. Just hold their shape at the back. And I think in that instance, yes, Matt Watson is doing all he can to press, but play your position, play centre midfield, and don't get caught out. Now he's still trying to get back, you know.
Moved away by Palmer. Slogic. Del Piccolo. It's Greg Cochran preventing Alvarez from cutting in. Del Piccolo keeps it on the grass. Finley's dangerous, takes the shot. Sean Johnson was ready anyway.
You said it though. Finley is very dangerous, but it was an excellent move inside just to skip past Big Eddie Elton. Frank Yallop very animated on the sideline, as is Mark Burcham. Not liking what they've seen over the past 5 minutes, because it's the Fire doing what they've done all season long. They have a lead, now naturally retreating a little bit, allowing Charlotte independence back into this game.
And Frank a little more animated, showing his frustration there. It's Mike Jeffries. Making his second substitution of this match. But we saw Frank just kick the training cones. The manager a little dissatisfied with his team's play here in the second half, trying to close the deal and close out the Charlotte team. Still dangerous. Corner upcoming for Charlotte.
And you can understand his frustration, because Frank Yallop cannot do anything with the 11 players that are on the pitch as of right now other than encourage and give instruction.
Dangerous corner dropped in, Polster first to it. Striding after it, Jovan Jones.
He's just urging his players on to not drop the tempo, the momentum that they had. Continue to play their position. I talked about Matt Watson chasing a fullback near the corner flag. Important just to play that role that he's been given. And just make sure you don't get caught out numerically.
Do you start to think about bringing on Patrick Nyako now here in the 68th minute?
Yeah, wealth of options for Frank Yallop. Razvan Kochish, Guli De Prado, Eric Gehrig, Jason Johnson, Patrick Nyako, and Michael Stevens. So plenty of options with guys that have all seen a lot of minutes, obviously, in Major League Soccer this season, apart from Nyako.
First to it is Slogic. Back to Palmer. Throw coming up for the Independents. The scoreless second half. 2 substitutions have been used by Charlotte. Frank Yallop still awaiting his first move.
And it looks to me like Jason Johnson is the player that's getting instruction. And
Slogic comes hard over the top of Mike McGee. And Mike immediately crumpled down to the pitch. There's Herrera there to check on him. It was the giant man, Slogic, who is being shown a yellow card here. A little reckless over the top of McGee.
A yellow card caution has been issued by the referee to the Charlotte Independents, number 4, Patrick Slogic, in the 70th minute of play.
Tarjeta amarilla de amonestación para el número 4 de Charlotte Independence, Patrick Slogic, en el minuto 70.
So Slogic on a yellow. They play on. Here's Chris Ritter. Little skip and hop from Greg Cochran. Still holding. Jones surprising Charlotte a little bit, but just a little slippage in the area.
And this is the 3rd time that the referee has ignored contacts from behind on Jovan Jones. There wasn't much, but I still felt there was a little trip as Jovan Jones was bursting through. But the referee felt that he went down too easy. Jason Johnson ready to come in for Kennedy Buonanike.
Substitution for the Chicago Fire in the 71st minute of play. Entering the match, number 7, Jason Johnson. Leaving the match, number 77, Kennedy Buonanike.
So Jason Johnson entering the match here in the 72nd minute gives us a chance to remind you there's no easier way to get to a Chicago Fire home match than the Pub to Pitch program presented by Heineken. Start your match day at one of 7 pubs across the city and hop on a round-trip bus to and from the stadium. Visit pubtopitch.com to reserve your seats today. This is Jason Johnson. Visions there of McGee, right back to Johnson. This time over towards Harry Shipp. Plops down for Matt Watson. Gets a little tangled up, and emerging with the ball is Alex Martinez for the Charlotte Independents. The step up by Palmer. Johnson bumped down. You surprised Mike McGee is going over 70-plus minutes so far.
Yeah, a little bit, but obviously the coaching staff feel Mike is ready to go. Fitness is there, and I think you can see that it is.
It's looked pretty good. Speak of the little devil, the fox in the box. Mike McGee over for Harry Shipp. Drifting far is Jovan Jones. The man who just picked up that yellow card, Slogic, coming back for Charlotte. What's Jason Johnson's role on this team if he's going to stick?
Energy. I think Jason Johnson has proved to be a better player, well, a good, really good player, and a bright spot off the bench, giving that spark. You could see that nice and early with the first run. Stretch the team and use all his energy. Kennedy Buonanike put in a good 70 minutes. Now it's time for Jason Johnson to show Frank Yallop what he's got to offer.
Free kick earned by Charlotte. It was Herrera who went down. So Jorge Herrera. Free kick here in the 74th minute. His team down 2-1. Right towards Sean Johnson.
And Sean Johnson made that look easy. Put it down into the ground. That looked like a swerving effort from distance.
Caught up in the wind. Harry Shipp, though, will take it from Martinez. McGee shoots it out wide. As Jason Johnson was trying to come onto that. Lavelle Palmer, his best match of the season, not just the goal, but right now it stands as rather important. It's provided the Fire with their first lead of the evening after they trailed and conceded just 5 minutes in. McGee couldn't do anything with it. Alvarez on the counter for Charlotte. Cochran helps reclaim possession. Shipp nicely on to McGee. Johnson awaits in the box. This is Jovan Jones. Back and forth, Shipp and McGee. Jovan Jones dancing away from some would-be tacklers. Knifing his way to the outside, Jason Johnson gives to Greg Cochran. Polster meandering forward. Shipp's got some room to work with. Great possession.
Guess who's about to come on?
A guy we haven't seen for a while. Mike McGee provided the opening goal, and we should see a little Patrick Nyako as here's Jovan Jones. Greg Cochran plays it across. Visions there of Harry Shipp, but directed away by Charlotte as here's Alvarez. Superb effort all evening from Greg Cochran. A lot of fight.
Absolutely, and I think it'll be Harry Shipp now to make way. Welcome back, Patrick Nyako.
First time since October of last year, and listen to this ovation. His last appearance, October 18th of 2014. Welcome back, Patrick Nyako. It's like old times looking down there with he and McGee roaming around. Flag is raised on Finley.
Well played, Matt Polster, Natty Elton, Greg Cochran, Lavelle Palmer alike. To just hold that line. Finley's been doing his very best to break it all evening in the second half. Important now to get Patrick Nyako a touch nice and early because he will be nervous. It's a long layout. The cruciate ligament is one of the worst injuries.
Jones trying to slot it through to Jason Johnson. The idea was there.
And for Nyako, you know, you can play in as many training games and five-a-sides, kick-arounds of training as you want. There's nothing like proper competition. So this will do him the world of good for his confidence to get back, get a few touches, and try and be effective in this match.
Try to work his way out of the corner, Jason Johnson. Get some help from McGee. Ritter sees that Palmer's by his lonesome. Lavelle Palmer comes in for a closer look. Left-footed blast. This time it's blocked by Herrera. Jorge Herrera. Alvarez pushes over to Nunam. Back into the middle, sliding there is Matt Watson to win it back. The Englishman does his work. Jovan Jones. Under duress. Keeps surviving.
I'm not sure the referee likes Jovan Jones' new haircut. Doesn't want to give him anything.
Third and final substitution of the match here. As Caleb Calvert comes on for Alex Martinez.
And you wonder about Lavelle Palmer. He's down, not looking too comfortable at the moment. And if Lavelle Palmer cannot continue, obviously that would mean Mike McGee plays the full match.
Well, Fire fans, tell us who you think should be today's Fire Man of the Match. Open up the Chicago Fire mobile app to cast your vote by the 90th minute and stay tuned after the final whistle to find out today's winner. Download the new version of the app now on the Apple Store and on Google Play. For you, I'm not going to ask you who your man of the match is, but quietly, who's been your underrated man of the match for the Fire?
I'm not going to ask your man of the match, but who's been your man of the match? I think Chris Ritter has played well in the centre of midfield. As we see Eric Gary coming in for Lavelle Palmer, who I think would also get a shout in that regard. A goal and an assist from a fullback position, but apart from that, I think he's been quite good with his all-round game. Mike McGee has played well.
Sean Johnson, a few clutch stops when they needed him. So glad you could join the Chicago Fire on this U.S. Open Cup night. Patrick Nyako, his first few touches, takes it from his old mate Mike McGee. Nyako, look at him go, finds McGee! Just like old times, Nyako to McGee, it's a 2-goal lead.
Every single Chicago Fire player runs immediately over to Patrick Nyako. Emotional times in Bridgeview. Nyako to McGee, back of the net. 3-1 Chicago Fire. And that is sensational wing play from Patrick Nyako. Toyota Park has missed that smile.
They've missed the man. You couldn't script it any better for a 2-goal cushion goal there.
And I know that is something that the coaching staff are working on. If a player gets it wide like that, Mike McGee is to check right back out and the pass straight away to Mike McGee. Very well done.
You remember when you said moments ago it's going to be important to get Patrick Nyako because he's been out so long since October of last year to get a few touches. Well, he got 1 or 2 touches and it's in the back of the goal thanks to Mike McGee and the setup ability of the Ghanaian.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think those were his first
They
few
were.
touches.
They were.
Incredible. And I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I'm going to go there anyway. Now the Fire, concentration, and show that little bit of ruthlessness to see out this match.
Off the foot of Adi Elton, safely away, even though the corner will be upcoming. Jorge Herrera. Off a few heads. Bicycled away by Nyako. It's Johnson onto it. Twisting and turning, 1v2. Good stuff, Jason Johnson. Little back heel for Jones, and away the Fire go. Starting to play a lot more confident. Scoring 3 goals will help that cause. Watson. Eric Gehrig, his first touch off the bench.
With that same style cross from Eric Gehrig, the right idea, just trying to check it back to the striker.
Calm game from Matt Polster. McGee. Loads of space for Gray Cochran down the left side. He's a little disappointed that he didn't see the ball. Surging forward is Adi Elton. And gets the foul call. The former Notre Dame man, Ryan Finley, whistled.
Look at the skill from Patrick Nyako, the awareness. And then there's the check back from Mike McGee. What a finish.
Just out of the outstretched hands of the keeper, Gilstrap. Again, here's Nyako. Out wide, Eric Gehrig. Jovan Jones hammers it. Gilstrap, a little spillage, but he stops it. Polster quiets down Ribeiro. Ribeiro shows a lot of fight, though, to reclaim it. Chicago Fire protecting this 3-1 lead. 86th minute, Toyota Park, Bridgeview, Illinois.
And 3 quality goals. When you consider all 3 strikes, Mike McGee with a brace. 2 very delicate finishes. Didn't go for power. It was all about precision and finding the corner. Speaking of power, how about Lavelle Palmer's strike?
And it's a trend. It's the veterans who picked this team up by the back of their neck. Now trying to create some danger the other way. Stumbling is Gray Cochran. Finley the drive. Sean Johnson another stop. Here's Nyako looking to respond. Doesn't rush things. Brushes over to Mike McGee. This is Jovan Jones. With authority, Bilal Duckett knocks it away. Cochran misses it. Opens things up for Alvarez. Caleb Calvert. Calvert off the bench and just blows a tire along the near touchline.
And here's that chance one more time. Cochran has to deal with it, do whatever needs to be done to clear the danger. Who else? Sean Johnson. Talk about man of the match. I think he's right up there.
Especially the timing of some of his big stops earlier in this game. It's the late minutes.
Yeah, the one on Zahorsky right after the Chicago Fire equalized was a spectacular save.
Because those goals can be crushers. We've seen that too many times before. Emerging from the dust is Matt Watson, clashing there with Ribeiro. It's Patrick Nyako losing it, stepping up his Polster.
Well played, Polster. Couple of crunching tackles now in the past few minutes.
Jones scampers away. A game of keep away here with the 2-goal lead. Gehrig on to Jones.
Chicago Fire just moments away now from qualifying to the quarterfinal of the US Open Cup, a competition that the team, the players, they so desperately want to go on and win a 5th cup.
And hopefully it can also re-energize their MLS play that continues this Friday on the road against Houston.
Yeah, 2 teams missing key players. With
Easy
3
ball
points,
there.
3 points up for grabs. No David Akam, no Sean Maloney, no Jovan Jones, but I think Frank Yallop will be very encouraged by the performances, the cameo from Patrick Nyako and the full 90 minutes from Mike McGee, scoring 2. No other player has done that for the Fire this season.
3 minutes, a minimum, will be added to this game. It's the 4th official, holds up the sign to prove it. Adi Elton surging forward, Greg Cochran. Little dancing from Jovan Jones, really in no particular hurry with his team leading. It's Watson. He and Nyako trying to combine, but Charlotte once again out of the back. Trying to go over the top to Finley, read by Adi Elton.
Now this is where the Fire need to just work as a team at getting better at closing out matches. Just holding on to the ball. That's all right from Mike McGee. That's good. And let them try and close down Sean Johnson. And now spread the field, find options.
Polster's target was Johnson.
And once more, Dan, Jason Johnson proving to be a good introduction off the bench.
What do you like about Jason off the bench?
It's his energy, his ability to run the channels. He's got good footwork, but he gives you that spark. In Columbus, you saw it. He got the late goal from the head. He came very close from the head as well in New England on 2 different occasions. This is a good win for Chicago.
Kaká and Orlando City await. A little over a minute remains. Reaching back for it is Watson. He's done some admirable work. Matt Watson, that wasn't the best of his portrait there. Leads to a counterattack coming the other way, led by Cox, who draws the contact. No wearing down yet from the rookie, Matt Polster. Sean Johnson leaves his line as Noonan was trying to create some danger down the right side. Quick distribution. Look at Jovan Jones go. Waits up for some runners. Just kind of casually glides to the middle. Finds Johnson as Jones comes in, tries to reclaim. We should be hearing the whistle shortly. It's going to be a sweet sound to Chicago Fire supporters. The US Open Cup, a tournament they've cherished over the years, trying to end a rough patch, and this is a heck of a good start. A solid 3-1 victory over Charlotte. The Chicago Fire will advance. Next stop at home against Orlando City.
Chicago Fire with an impressive performance, certainly areas to work on, but to see that man, Mike McGee, come back into the team, not only come back in and make a start, but to play 90 minutes and score a brace and show that finesse and class that we've seen on many occasions here at Toyota Park. Patrick Nyako, his introduction as well. Matt Polster with an impressive performance at the back. And for Charlotte Independence, congratulations on a wonderful run this season. In their very first year as a football club, Mike Jeffries has done a wonderful job in getting the team to this stage of the competition, and they'll look to continue their good form in USL.
It's been a while since you've seen those big smiles on the Fire's faces after a match. And the man of the match, the man of the moment, Lavelle Palmer, doing it all tonight for the Chicago Fire.
Yeah, congratulations. You mentioned it during the broadcast, Dan, that it's not easy sometimes when you're not picked. So Lavelle Palmer comes into the team today, gets a goal, gets an assist, but his overall work rate and energy levels up the right-hand side were very good. And that's brought a big smile and a big-time result.
So they advance to the quarterfinal.
But I think this match, Dan, will always be remembered for the return of Mike McGee and Patrick Nyako. We've talked about it all year long, about how they might come back into the team. We always mention later in June, and today you saw the introduction from Nyako and the finishing from Mike McGee.
And it's still early, especially for Patty Nyako. He just got a couple of minutes, but it's surprised to see that form and that chemistry immediately between McGee and Nyako. And Mike McGee seems to be up to his old tricks.
The funny thing is, I think back to a goal scored by Mike McGee in Houston a couple of years ago, and it was a Patrick Nyako cross to Mike McGee that was very similar in many ways to the goal that McGee scored to put the Fire 3-1 up. So many positive aspects to come from this performance. Yes, certainly there are areas to work on. Sean Johnson stood on his head in many moments through this match. We mentioned that save in the first half from Zahorski. Again in the second half from Finley. You don't want to have to rely on your goalkeeper. You want to try and close it out, but it's going to happen at times in games. The most important thing is the performances from a lot of players and the 3 goals scored and qualification.
Hopefully we see this translate not just to the next round against Orlando City, but also Friday night, a tough challenge on the road in the heat against the Houston Dynamo.
Yeah, it really is a difficult one to turn around. Houston need to check and figure out that their match actually go ahead tonight, because it was delayed for a long time due to weather. Houston Dynamo and Chicago Fire both will be without key players. We've touched on that. But Chicago Fire certainly will get a big time boost from this. And the fans that came out in support will be delighted.
It was a blast, Kevin. We'll keep covering the Fire's trip in the U.S. Open Cup. As we mentioned, next stop at home against Orlando City a little later on in the month. The final tonight, the Chicago Fire come from behind and defeat the Charlotte Independence to move on the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. For my partner, Kevin Egan, I'm Dan Kelly. Thanks so much for watching. The Men in Red next up this Friday on the road against Houston, and then they'll return home July 11th against the Seattle Sounders. Until then, good night and good soccer.